Hello, and today we're going to discuss the poem The Work of Artifice, which is written by Marge Piercy. So, when we look at the title of the poem, The Work of Artifice, so the meaning of the word artifice means an artful skill which is done in a cunning manner actually to deceive someone. So, artifice isn't a positive word. So, let's take a look at the entire poem at a glance. So the poem follows a 24-line unmetered free verse. So what is a free verse? A free verse is a type of poem which does not have any rhyming scheme or any musical pattern throughout the entire poem. And the literary device that is used here is enjambment. So what is enjambment? Enjambment is the continuation of sentences from one line to the next, so that the eyes seamlessly move from one line to the next quickly. And there are no stanzas as well. So here the poet wants to convey a sense of urgency of the message or the theme, and that is why maybe enjambment was used. Okay, now let's take a look at the first few lines. The bonsai tree in the attractive pot could have grown 80 feet tall on the side of a mountain till split by lightning. Okay, so the poet says the bonsai tree is kept in an attractive pot, but if its potential was not cut down, it could have grown up to a height of 80 feet on the side of a mountain until it was split by a natural phenomenon like lightning. But a gardener carefully pruned it. It is 9 inches high. Okay. So now the gardener has carefully pruned it. So prune is actually a positive word, which means cut in order to look beautiful. But here the irony is that here pruning is done actually to suppress the potential. So if you see, two metaphors are used here. One metaphor is the bonsai tree. Bonsai tree actually represents women, and gardener is the male dominated society or the male chauvinistic society. So you can actually call this extended metaphor, because metaphor is not only pertaining to a single line but in the subsequent lines as well. So the poem has extended metaphor. Okay, so the bonsai tree is actually women and the gardener is actually the male dominated society. So if the male dominated society had not suppressed the potential of women, they could have grown. Every day as he whittles back the branches, the gardener croons, "It is your nature to be small and cozy, domestic and weak. How lucky little tree to have a pot to grow in." So every day as he whittles. So what is the meaning of the word whittles? Whittles means to reduce the size through gradual steps. So every day as the gardener gradually cuts down the branches, the gardener croons. So the meaning of the word croons is sing or hum. So what does he sing? It is your nature to be small and cozy, domestic and weak. Okay. So if you see here, the gardener is singing to the bonsai tree. So there is personification here, giving lifelike um, features to a non-living thing. So it is in your nature to be small and cozy. So the society views this as a gender, that the gender role of women is actually natural, कि तुम्हारी नेचर में ही है कि तुम छोटे और cozy रहो, and domestic and weak, so they should stay indoors, they should be domestic and weak. How lucky little tree to have a pot to grow in. So here the poet says that the women should be grateful that even if they are restricted to a large extent, or that they have a domestic role to fulfill, they are supposed to be, they should, is supposed to consider themselves Lucky. So here actually it is irony. The figure of speech used here is irony, that even if they are supposed to stay inside the four walls of the house, they are supposed to consider them lucky because they have a pot to grow in, and the male dominated society have actually protected them from lightning and other natural calamities. With living creatures, one must begin very early to draw their growth. Okay. So here it is saying with living beings, one must begin very early. That means the conditioning should not be delayed, and they should prepare for their preordained role from a very young age, so that they remain stunted or they remain dependent forever. So that should start from a very young age to make them believe that they are inferior and weak. The bound feet, the crippled brain, the hair in colors, the hands you love to touch. Okay. So here illusion is used. So what is illusion? It's a figure of speech that refers to a well-known object or story to make a comparison in the reader's mind. The bound feet. So binding of the feet is actually a part of the Chinese culture where the bones of the feet, they are broken down and tightly bound. So it is a very incredibly painful and very barbaric ritual. So it causes irreparable damage to the legs. So this was considered to be a beauty standard. That small feet was considered beautiful. But it symbolizes a girl's willingness to obey, limit the mobility, and limit also the power of women to keep them subordinate to men. So this was a very brutal beauty standards that was followed in China before. The crippled brain. So crippled brain is actually intellectual stifling. So intellectual stifling means that they are not, that they themselves making them believe that they are incapable in the patriarchal society. The hair in colors. So if you see here, hair in colors is objectifying women, that their pivotal role is to look attractive, and that is the sole purpose they have, so that men find them desirable and acceptable. So what was the key role or the pivotal role of women is actually only to look presentable. The hands you love to touch. So here if you see the hands you love to touch, they have used irony that though men restrict women, they seek admiration and comfort from them. Isn't that true? Yes. So this is the poem. Now let's look at what the theme of the poem is. So the poem wants to show the plight of women in a male-dominated society where they are treated as mere ornamental or decorative items, and that is why it is in the poem they have compared it to a bonsai tree, because bonsai tree is also a very ornamental plant. Okay. Second is the conditioning to look a certain way, do domestic chores, and live within the four walls of the house in the pretext of being safe makes women actually believe that they are in fact weak, inferior, and become incapable of thinking freely and seek freedom. Yes, that they are conditioned from a very young age. Moreover, women are expected to be grateful for the subordinate role they are given in a domestic setting. So therefore the poem highlights that it is imperative or it is important or it is vital to let women to grow and flourish rather than restrict them to perceived gender roles and expectations which the male dominated or the male chauvinistic society has imposed on the women. So I hope this poem was clear to all of you with all the literary devices and the figure of speeches. Thank you.